The champagne flute trembled in Callista's manicured fingers as she raised it toward the string lights, her sequined dress catching every golden gleam. Around her, 50 guests leaned forward with practiced smiles, waiting for her toast like courtiers awaiting royal decree. "To another year of dreams coming true," she announced, her voice carrying across the perfectly manicured backyard. "And to my little sister Alana, who's always been so good at, well, folding chairs and staying out of the way." The laughter rippled through the crowd like a wave, sharp, immediate, cruel. My father's chuckle was the worst part. That familiar sound that said harmless family teasing while my chest burned with 30 years of accumulated wounds. I didn't laugh, I smiled instead, the kind of smile you perfect when you're bleeding pride behind your teeth, sitting exactly where they'd placed me, beside the cooler, next to the trash bags, on a plastic chair that screamed afterthought. But here's what none of them knew as they clinked their glasses and savored their moment. The woman they'd just dismissed was about to become the most powerful person in that backyard, and unlike their laughter, my power wasn't going anywhere. The ghost at her own party. "My name is Alana Cross, and I've been invisible my entire life." Not the dramatic, attention-seeking kind of invisible, the genuine kind, where people look right through you and somehow always forget you were there. The birthday party was a masterclass in exclusion disguised as celebration. White and gold linen stretched across tables that sparkled under Edison bulbs. A string quartet played softly in the corner while servers in crisp black uniforms circulated with champagne and canapes. It looked like something from town country, all carefully curated elegance. And there I sat, on the outskirts of it all, watching condensation from water bottles seep through the plastic tablecloth and dampen my sleeve. No one noticed, no one asked me to move. I was decor that breathed. "Aren't you Callista's assistant or something?" A woman in a sleek jumpsuit bent down beside me, squinting like she was trying to place a face from long ago. I gave her a polite nod and turned back to my wine. I didn't correct her because this wasn't new. This was just the latest installment in a lifetime of being reduced to what other people needed me to be. Across the yard, Callista floated between groups like a golden butterfly, soaking up compliments about her visionary leadership and innovative campaigns. I watched her bask in praise for work I knew intimately, because I'd personally reviewed every proposal, approved every budget, and quietly declined the original version of her supposedly brilliant campaign for being unoriginal and ethically questionable. She just didn't know I was the one who'd written that rejection. The architecture of invisibility. The photo display told the story of my erasure perfectly. Golden string held dozens of framed memories: Callista's ballet recital, her college graduation, her wedding, her first marketing award. Not a single image included me. It was as if I'd never existed. I remembered being 12, standing in a hand-me-down lavender dress that smelled faintly of mothballs while Callista twirled an ivory tool. My birthday had been combined with her recital because, as my mother explained, it was more efficient. What that meant was Callista got applause and roses. I got a shared cake and a book with the price tag still attached. "Honey, can you move to the side?" my mother had said during the group photo. "The lighting's better without you blocking it." I'd stood there afterward, pretending to admire the dessert table, pretending not to blink too fast, learning the first lesson of invisibility: you can disappear from your own story if you stay quiet long enough. At 18, Callista got a new Jeep with a red bow. I got a graduation card that read, "We hope you find your path soon." The thing is, I did find my path, they just never looked far enough to see it. Building an empire in the shadows. While they dismissed me as the quiet sister with the small admin job, I was building something they couldn't imagine. 7 years ago, I took my first controlling interest in a Chicago logistics firm, then a struggling content distribution company, then a shell corporation that let me absorb shares in a national marketing agency. That last one? That's where Callista works now. I didn't fire her. I didn't even change her job title. I just watched, restructured her department, approved her budgets, and reviewed every proposal that floated up through the corporate hierarchy. The campaign she'd toasted tonight, the one that made her the golden girl of marketing, had crossed my desk weeks earlier. I'd sent it back with a note: declined, lacks originality, flag for discussion on ethical sourcing. Her manager had repackaged it, but the hollow core remained. Now she was building her reputation on recycled mediocrity, and I was the only one who knew. Real power doesn't announce itself. It watches, it waits, it moves pieces until the board belongs to you. The moment everything changed, I was tracing the rim of my wine glass, lost in memories of a lifetime of calculated slights, when I heard the soft hum of tires on gravel. A sleek black Tesla eased to a stop near the front gate, and my pulse quickened. Marcus Lang stepped out in a navy suit and mirrored sunglasses. As CEO of the parent company that owned Callista's firm, he was corporate royalty, the kind of man who could make or break careers with a single phone call. "Oh my God," Callista whispered to someone nearby, frantically smoothing her hair. "That's my boss. What is he doing here?" I didn't move as Marcus walked through the yard with calm precision. He passed the champagne tower, past the cornhole game, past Callista without so much as a glance. He stopped 2 feet from my plastic chair. "Madam Cross," he said quietly, removing his sunglasses. "Wasn't expecting to see you here. Not Ilana, not Miss Cross, madam." The air around us shifted like a barometric pressure drop before a storm. "I wasn't expecting you either, Marcus," I replied evenly, my voice carrying just enough authority to make nearby conversations falter. He glanced toward the patio, then leaned slightly closer. "Do you need a ride after this? I need to brief you on the Morgan acquisition. They'll fold if we play this right." I nodded once. "I'll find you later." He offered a small nod of respect and moved on, leaving a trail of confusion in his wake. Around us, the party didn't stop, but it stumbled. Laughter quieted, conversations shifted to murmurs. Callista stared at me, her champagne flute trembling in her hand. Someone behind her whispered, "Did he say Cross?" And just like that, the useless sister became someone they had never really seen. The unraveling. My father intercepted me before I could reach the dessert table, a burger in one hand and a solo cup in the other. His casual dismissal was as predictable as sunrise. "Well, look who's still playing secretary," he said, glancing at my simple flats like they confirmed my status. "Callista says you're, what was the word, comfortable in your little role." I let the comment pass without acknowledgement, but he wasn't finished. "You know, I helped your cousin get a grant last year. Used your LLC, women-owned. Looks good on paper." He bit into his burger like the moment meant nothing. "You weren't using it anyway. You used my business name for a grant," I said quietly. "Relax," he laughed. "It was for family. You always were too sensitive. That's why people overlook you." I leaned in just enough for my words to hit clean. "I don't get overlooked. You choose not to see me." Then I walked past him, slow, deliberate, unshaken, toward the moment I'd been unconsciously preparing for my entire life. The revelation. I placed a thick manila envelope on the white linen beside the deviled eggs and shrimp cocktail. Callista's eyes locked on it immediately. "What's that?" she asked, her voice still laced with false brightness. "Proof," I said simply. She stepped closer, her hand twitching like she wanted to grab it. "You think this makes you better than me?" "No," I replied. "It makes me honest." "You're just jealous," she scoffed, but her voice cracked slightly. I smiled for the first time all night. "Then why are you the one trembling?" Marcus cleared his throat from beside me. "Thank you for signing off on the transfer, Madam Cross. It's official." Callista snapped toward him. "Transfer?" I nodded once. "You'll be moving to the Tempe office. Smaller team, fewer spotlights, a good place to reflect." Silence bloomed around us, wide and weighty. Someone coughed, another adjusted their tie. My mother sat down hard on a nearby chair, her face pale. I stepped forward just enough for my voice to carry across the suddenly quiet yard. "Every time you called me too quiet, I was building something you couldn't see. And while you were making jokes," I paused, letting the weight of 30 years settle in the space between us. "I was signing checks." The aftermath. I didn't need their applause. I didn't need their apologies. I left the manila envelope where it was and walked away from the buffet, from the broken image of family they'd tried to preserve. As I passed the folding chair by the cooler, the one they'd saved for me, I didn't even glance at it. I walked right past it like it had never mattered, because now it didn't. Behind me, the party stuttered forward like a skipping record. My father stood stiff, staring at the envelope. My mother clutched her arms around herself like a coat too thin for the truth. Callista didn't say another word. Then I heard it, the soft clink of a glass being set down, then another, a chair scraped backward. Someone murmured, "I always knew she was the smart one." I didn't turn around to see who said it. I didn't need to. 3 days later, no texts, no apologies, no recycled excuses about family or miscommunication, just silence. But this time, it didn't hurt. This time, it felt like peace. Monday morning, I was in the office before my assistant finished her latte. During our quarterly meeting, a young intern offered me a chair beside the window, another afterthought seat that reminded me too much of the plastic one by the cooler. I stepped past it and gently pulled out the chair at the head of the table instead. "I think I've earned this one," I said softly. He didn't laugh. He just nodded and helped me adjust it. That afternoon, Marcus stopped by my office. "Callista resigned," he said, leaning against the doorframe, said there was a misalignment in leadership values. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't even angry. I never wanted to ruin her, I said. I just wanted the truth to matter. It does, he replied, because you made it. Later, my assistant brought in a small envelope with no return address. Inside was a folded card. Thank you for seeing someone like me. You gave me hope. It was from the young server who had whispered ma'am while the rest of the room whispered judgments. I tucked it into my drawer beside my father's old watch. One reminded me of time lost, the other of what I chose to do with mine. Weeks later, at a cousin's wedding, I saw my name printed in gold beside my mother's on a front row seat. I walked past it and found a quieter spot by the window, not because I was bitter, but because I had built my own table. And I finally understood, you don't need their chair when you've built the entire room. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you in next video.